Hello, everyone, and welcome to this fourth week of Advent, which will last for about a day, so buckle up. I think a great person to help us walk into this season of Christmas is our Blessed Mother. Our Blessed Mother is a great example of receptivity, and she does this by way of her virtues. We see this in her holy obedience, her interruptibility, and her faithfulness to the Lord. In her holy obedience, we see at the Annunciation, the angel Gabriel comes to Our Lady, and he gives her the word of the Lord. He says to her, "You will bear a son, his name will be Emmanuel." And I could imagine that for Mary, this must have been mind-blowing, that the Jesus and the Messiah that would be born of a virgin that she had read about in the scriptures was here and would be born of her. So I would imagine that this would be a lot for her to wrap her head around. But I think her virtue of holy obedience really magnified in her response. She did not say, why? Why are you calling me to this? Why are you doing this? Her response was how, because she had confidence that the Lord would see her through. And through that, she was able to be perfectly obedient to the Lord and his will. Secondly, we see her receptivity through her interruptibility. When she received this prophecy from the angel Gabriel, she also received this prophecy about Elizabeth bearing a son. And immediately, the scripture says she went in haste to proclaim the goodness of the Lord to Elizabeth, which I think is so beautiful because I'd imagine that this wasn't in her plan, if she even had one for the day. But she stopped in the middle of her life, and maybe her life was busy, or maybe she had something else to do, but she stopped in the middle to proclaim the greatness of the Lord, to do his will, in this posture of receptivity. And lastly, we see her receptivity and her faithfulness to the Lord. If we look again at the Annunciation, as we have been doing, we see her complete receptivity, staying with the Lord, her faithfulness to the Lord. "Be it done unto me according to thy will," was her response to the Lord's calling of her. And at the Nativity, we see her beholding the child Jesus in her hands and adoring him. Again, we see this display of faithfulness. And she continues to have this display of faithfulness and staying with the Lord all the way until he was crucified. And she stood there at the foot of the cross in faithfulness and in hopeful expectation for his resurrection. And I think her faithfulness is so beautiful, and it teaches us a lot because we talk about this preparation for the coming of Christ, but my friends, the coming of Christ is only the beginning. May we look to Mary to remain faithful throughout the entirety of our lives, that we might remain with the Lord at his coming, at his death, at his resurrection, and hopefully at his second coming. And so, walking with Our Lady into this Christmas season, my hope for you is that you will take a look at your life and see, in what ways am I responding to the Lord's coming in my life? Not only should I be preparing for the Lord's coming, but how am I responding? And in what ways, like our Blessed Mother, can I be fully receptive? Can I respond to the coming of the Lord?